Hi crafters, welcome back and thanks for joining me today. This is Jonna with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we're going to make this fun fold card. This card, when you pull it out, it almost looks like a step card. It will stand up to display. The only tricky part is the layers, and we'll get to that in a little bit. It does lay flat for shipping. I have brads added, so it does add a little bit of thickness to it, but it should still be okay in a standard envelope. This measures about 3 inches by 7 inches. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we'll need is our scoreboard. So our first piece is going to be the base, and this is basic white cardstock, and this is cut at 9 by 7. Now we do need to do some markings on this, but we're going to go ahead and move that to the side. We'll do the layers and then we'll come back to it. So you need 2 pieces of pattern paper, and this is cut at 3 by 7. Again, there's 2. You will need 1 piece. This is cut at 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then you need 2 pieces, and these are cut at 1 1/2 by 2 3/4. And then you need 4 pieces, and these are cut at 1 1/2 by 1 1/4. And this is all from a packet from Michaels, and it's their Halloween collection. Now we're done with the scoreboard for a moment, so we're just going to put that off to the side. We're going to take the base piece and we're going to do some markings. So I'm going to grab my pencil and a ruler, and we're going to start on the 9-inch side. And we're going to mark this at 1 1/2, 6, and 7 1/2. And then I'm going to do it at the bottom also. Mark it at 1 1/2, 3, 6, and 7 1/2. And we're going to turn it on the 7-inch side, and we are going to mark this at 1, 1 3/4, 5 1/4, and 6. Then we're going to move to the bottom and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to mark this at 1, 1 3/4, 5 1/4, and 6. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and connect those lines. So I'm going to turn this. So it's on the 9-inch side, and we're just going to connect that first line. And then the last one. And then I'll turn it back on the other side, on the 7-inch side. And we're going to connect those outer markings. So just the first 2 outer markings. So the 1-inch and then the 6-inch. And I'm doing a very faint line, so you don't want it to show and you don't want to have to erase a lot of the pencil mark. So now what we're going to do is we're going to re-grab the scoreboard, and we're going to do some scoring on this. So we're going to lay this on the 9-inch side, and we're going to take those pencil marks that we did, and we're going to score just from that first pencil mark that we drew down to where it crosses. So just that 1-inch mark. And then you're going to do it from the bottom up, again just going in that 1 inch. And then you're going to do it on the other end. So just on the line down to the inch mark, and then from the bottom up or bottom down, 1 inch in. Then on the 6-inch line, go ahead and score the entire thing. And then also score it on the 3-inch line. So this is what you should have now. You should have your 1 score mark on the top and the bottom, and then your full score marks on the 2 sides. So next, we're going to draw some more lines. It was easier to do it in steps so that you don't get confused with the lines. We are going to mark this on the 1 3/4 inch, and you're just going to mark between the lines. I'm just going to put a dot on those 2 fold lines that we did that went on the 6 and the 3, and you're going to do that on both sides. If you want to make it easier, you can do a line and just connect those two dots on both sides. We are going to cut those out with a knife, so you can do that. And then right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the marks that we don't need. So those lines that we had first made, and that is going to be on the 6-inch mark and the 1-inch mark. And then on the other side, we're doing the 1.5 mark and the 6-inch or 7.5-inch mark. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a diagonal. So you're just going to draw a diagonal from that dot we made to that first score mark we made. And when I'm done, I'll pick this up so I can show you what I mean. So as you can see, we've got from the first fold down to those dots, we went ahead and we marked that. So this is where we're going to cut it out. So I'm going to grab my knife and a ruler. And you can use your trimmer if you want, but it's easier just to cut this with a knife. So I'm lining it up and I'm just going to cut from that, again, that point down. And I'm going over it a second time. And because I'm using a blade, I'm going to go ahead and just stay in the pencil marking, and it should keep my line straight. If you're not comfortable doing that, go ahead and use your ruler and a blade, or you can even use your trimmer. And then you just want to cut this out all the way just to make sure that it does lift up. So I'm going to do the other side. So I'm just going very slow, keeping my blade in the lead, and it usually will help to guide my blade so I get a straight line. And then before we pick it up, go ahead and remove any final pencil marks. Okay, so I'm just moving stuff out of the way. I'm going to lift this up so I can show you this is what you should have. So you're going to start folding this, and we're going to do a mountain fold first. We're going to start at one end. Just do a mountain fold. Take the middle section, do a mountain fold. And if you want to flip it over, do the next fold at a mountain. And then you're going to take it, as you can see, as you start to squeeze it, it will start to bend. You're going to take that next middle section, do a mountain, and then flip it back over. As I slowly work this, you can see it'll slowly start to bend on itself. You're going to fold the next lines as a mountain, fold it back up, and then do the last one as a valley. And as you slowly just push on this, it'll slowly start to collapse on itself. And then next what you want to do is you want to make sure these are lined up, and then go ahead and use your bone folder and then crease those out. And I'm just making sure they're lined up before I crease them. And you'll want to do that everywhere you have a fold. So I'm just going to flip this over, do that middle one, turn it back, and then do the last two sides. And that's the design that you should have now. That's for the base of your card. So next what we're going to do is we're going to work on the layers. Now the easiest way to do this on these two pieces was just to cut the paper to the exact size. But before that, so the dotted paper goes in the middle, and then the two pieces with the bat will go on here as I'm showing you here. And then these two bigger pieces, these are the ones that we have to cut out just a little bit more. So these are going to sit on the end. So I'm going to move all the other pieces, and we're going to work on the first piece. So we cut this to the exact size that this piece is, which is 7 by 3 inches. I'm going to make sure this is lined up. I'm going to turn it upside down, and then I'm going to put a pencil mark, just drawing where we're going to cut those pieces out. And I know you're thinking, well, this is going to be the exact size. You're not going to have a border, but I'm going to show you how to make a border on this too. So now I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to make this one line a little bit darker so you can see it. So we're going to start on just one of the sides, and we're going to mark this at 1/8 of an inch next to that line. And I'm going to do about 2 markings. I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in go out 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to connect those lines. And I'm going to connect it at the bottom and then do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to go in 1/8 of an inch. Turn it. And then mark the other side. And what this does is this is going to give you that 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. So we're going to mark those. And again, I'm just lining it up, and now we're going to cut it out. But we're also going to cut 1/8 of an inch off on all 4 sides after we cut them out. So I'm going to use my scissors for the first part. And I'm just going to cut on that outside line. So next what we're going to do is we're going to use our trimmer. And I'm going to line this up so that it is on that first mark on the track, and then just cut that out, and that is 1/8 of an inch. Then I'll turn it and I'll do it on the long side. Again, I'm lining it up just on that first mark on the track because that is 1/8 of an inch, and I'll do that on all 4 sides. I flipped it over so I can get it straight on the board. And then the last one, again, I'm just going to line it up so that it is lined up with that track, or that first mark from the track, and then just cut that 1/8 of an inch. And then when this sits in there, you'll have your perfect dimensions all the way around. Now for the other side, instead of trying to do that again, I'm just going to use this first piece as my guide. So let me move my trimmer out of the way. And then I'm going to grab my second piece, so it's going to sit here. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you've got your patterns going the same way. So we're going to put the patterns on the outside opposite each other. I'm going to lay this down. I'm lining it up on 2 of the sides. And then I'm just going to put my pencil markings where I'm going to cut this out. And you could just, hold it up and cut it with scissors, but I just find marking it first is easier. So we're going to take our scissors and now we're just going to cut on that line. You don't need to do that 1/8 because this other piece was already cut down. Because my line wasn't dark enough, I'm just going to hold that piece there, cut this one, and then finish cutting. So now you have 2 perfect pieces that will fit inside here and give you your borders. So next, we're going to work on the 4 smaller pieces. Now these ones, we did cut these down, so these are already 1/4 of an inch smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over so it's on the wrong side. I'm going to line it up so it has a border all the way around. I'm going to hold it, flip it back over, draw my pencil mark, and then I'm going to take my trimmer again, and then I'm going to line the pencil mark up against that same track so it's 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to cut it 1/8 of an inch further than that pencil mark. So then this piece will fit just in there and have your nice border. So for the other 3 pieces, we're going to use this as our pattern to cut out the rest of them. So when you do this, you want to make sure that the pieces are, the pattern is facing outward on both sides. And then just trim off that piece. So that one will fit there, and that one will fit there, and then you're going to do it for the two final pieces. So you're just going to pick them up, make sure the patterns are facing outward on both sides, and then just cut that excess piece off. Again, make sure the patterns are away from each other, line it up, and then cut it. You could draw a pencil mark, but this is pretty small, so you could probably just cut it without drawing a pencil line and then cutting it out. So those are where your pieces go for that. I'm going to fast forward now, and I'm going to glue all of these pieces down. Now it's time to work on the embellishments. So the first thing I have, if I can get these together, is I have my Frankenstein, and I have him on just a black border. So I'm just going to put glue on him. And I'm just going to glue him to this piece. I just want him to have just a little bit of background on him to pop on there. And he's going to be put on the inside of the card. So he's probably going to sit right about there. And then what I did is I already created some phrases, and I used the R Memory Keepers Printmaker, because it has so many endless possibilities. So if you don't have one there, a great tool to have. But you can combine words, you can do different font styles, so it's really nice. And then what I decided to do is I'm going to put some brads on here. So I'm just lining this up so I can get these even, and I'm just going to pop a hole in there. And I'm doing it just 1/4 of an inch down and then in the middle. And I'm going to do that on all three pieces. And then I'll just punch that through and then add my brads. And I'm just going to use orange brads on here. Let's find another orange one. And the brads I probably got at Michael's, or there's an eyelet store that has a lot of varieties. These are very, very old. And then I'm just going to push out those prongs. You can use a knife or your picking tool, and it'll help to spread those legs out. So I'm going to do that on the other two. Same thing. Again, I'm just lining it up, punching a hole just to start it, and then I'll pierce it through. And then again, use the orange brads. Push them in, pop them over, and spread the feet. And then the last one. And then this one's going to go in the center, and I'm just going to put some glue on it. And this one will be in the center of the card. This one says Happy Halloween. I'm just going to line that up just so it's pretty much in the center. And then for my skeleton, I don't want to add any weight or dimensions to him or any pop-up dots because I don't want it to be too thick. And I'm just going to make sure he's in between there and just kind of sits just even. And then I'll glue him down. Pretty good right there. And then for these two, I did put a pop dot on the back of them. And we're just going to put these at an angle on the front of the card. That's it, another successful card. I want to thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I look forward to making these videos along with you. Until next time, have a great day, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.